first of all, I'd like to confirm that this interview will be used for my PhD research and that you're happy with me to use it for that purpose.
Oh, yes, I'm more than happy.
Okay, thank you. And also, I'd like to know how you would like to be referred to in my study. So, are you happy for your name to be included, or would you prefer to remain anonymous within the study?
No, I'm happy. I'm happy to my name to be included.
Okay.
So I have no such constraints.
Brilliant. Okay, and then maybe before I start asking any questions, I wanted to know if you have any questions at all that you would like to ask, or if you're happy to just begin right away.
No, I mean, you can start right away.
Sure, excellent. Okay, so first of all, could you tell me a little bit about your position and your role within your organization?
So, see, I mean, I have been working as a project manager since quite a long. So I have total 14 years of experience and 12 years into project management. So I've been working as a project manager from past quite a few years.
Okay, great. And could you tell me about your current organization, who you're working with or who you're working for?
So, I mean, my recent organization was with PFS Web. So due to COVID-19, I mean, there are some strategical change. That's when they have asked quite a few project manager and delivery managers to leave. So I was part of it. So right now I'm open for opportunities.
Okay, I see. Yeah, I think this situation has obviously created many problems for people, so it's unfortunate. Okay. Could you tell me a bit about how COVID-19 has affected your ways of working? So have you continued working on anything throughout this pandemic, and how has it affected you?
See, I mean, in a way, before answering your question, so I was also, I mean, I just wanted to let you know. So I'm part of PMO Global Alliance, where we had a hackathon, which was recently completed. So affected as in, see, it has affected in multiple ways. So it has, I mean, not only me, I mean, there are several other project managers that I've known. I mean, that whom I'm known. I mean, I know them very well. So they are also affected. So it depends. I mean, see, I can't blame any organization for it or anything for it. So it all based on what are their strategy, how they re-strategize it, and how they see it in the future. So it all depends on that. But in a way, yes, it has affected me in my current organization. Also, it has slowed down the current recruitment process, where it's difficult to get a right job on right time. So I've been my last working day was 31st March. And since then, I've been looking out for. So it's been quite a few months. I mean, it's been 2 months or maybe more than 2 months. So if it would have been a normal condition, I would have have some offer by now, or maybe I would have been working for an organization for maybe a month or a 1.5 month. So it has slowed down. It has slowed down quite a few processes, like recruitment processes, onboarding processes, and even it has slowed down in some organization. It has slowed down the project delivery.
Yeah. Okay, so you said there that you've been having conversations with some other people that you know that work in a similar position to yourself. So do you know some other people that are still working through the pandemic, or are other people having the same kind of issues that you're coming up against?
Yes, I mean, see, there are quite a few people, quite a lot of people who are working through the pandemic. Who, I mean, see, there are impact, but not to the extent which affected me. But there are impact which is less. I mean, quite less compared to the people who have been severely impacted.
Sure, yeah. So if you've had any discussions with those people, what's the type of things that they're discussing? Like, how are they expressing the way they feel about this pandemic and how it's affected them?
So when I discuss with those people, so they always have a risk on their mind. So by any time or any chance, if company think over to re-strategize, they may ask them to leave. See, I'll tell you. So any organization, whether it's a role of a PMO or a role of a project manager, so there are no business dependency on them. So a project or an organization can run the show without even having a project manager if they have a proper technical lead who has a little bit of skills on related to project management. See, that's the reason. See, we had a hackathon and we have been working very, very religiously to make every organization realize what is the importance of having a role of a PMO or a project manager.
Okay.
And in fact, see, in many organizations, the leaders even think that the role of a project manager is just to track the deliverable or to update the Microsoft project plan, so which is not actually the case. So project manager are always the primary or the first level of a leader of a project. So who not only track the deliverable, they also ensure that the strategy, the senior leaders strategy has been met. The strategy which has been defined by the senior leader, that has met, the benefits have been achieved. See, there are a lot of things which project manager does, which is unaware to most of the organization leaders.
Okay, great, thank you. Yeah, and of course I completely agree that the role of a project manager is really important, and it's certainly not just a case of just delivering one
Correct.
aspect, for sure. Yeah.
So this is the only role which has been underrated all the time. Either a project manager or a PMO. The role of a PMO or a project manager has always been underrated.
Okay, great. Yes. Okay. And maybe we could talk a bit about virtual work now. So, in your previous role, were you working a lot in the virtual context, or were you working within an office space in your organization?
It was mixed. See, in my previous role, as I said, right, so project manager, so they may sometimes work with the multiple region or multiple geographical location. So I only work with them in office who are actually located in that particular office. So apart from that, there are many other people with whom I have been coordinating, communicating virtually.
Okay, excellent. And how have you been communicating with them? So what type of platforms have you been using? Do you use Teams or Zoom, or what do you find best?
So we were using Teams and sometimes Zoom call and even GoToMeeting.
Okay. So you use a variety?
Yes.
Then. Okay. And do you find that the organizations that you've been working for generally have an official platform? For example, the organization will say, we only use Teams or something like that, or they use everything.
See, that's what, see, most of the organization do not have, see, they were not ready. They were not mentally prepared. Such kind of issue may come up at any point of time. See, whatever communication platform or whatever platform that they have or that they had earlier, so that was based on their industry standard, not based on the standard of which can able to handle some part of crisis, some part of virtual workshop. So that, see, there is nothing. So there was no such technology, no such platform where organization focus was to was to handle some part of the crisis situation. In a crisis situation, how do we connect or move quite often without seeing each other? So that they were never ready. See, those are the basic platform. If you see Microsoft Teams or maybe Zoom or Cisco or GoToMeeting or even Slack, those are basic platform which every organization use. So do they have any kind of a platform where no one is coming to office and where they can get connected seamlessly and they can continue to work seamlessly? So they do not have that kind of a platform. And see, more often, all these platform which we discuss or which we just spoke about, so those are online platform. So how about somebody working on a remote location where the internet connectivity is not available or maybe not that strong as people living in cities? So what is the solution they have for it? So do they have any kind of a offline platform where they can also connect with each other and work seamlessly, deliver the project? So that is still a question mark even today.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Yeah, I completely agree. Again, it's very difficult for people that do have these connection issues, and I've seen already from the interviews that I've conducted and the people I've spoken with that that's always an issue that comes up is this idea of connectivity. Even for those
Correct.
people who potentially normally have a good internet connection, sometimes these things happen and the internet can go down, and of course that affects the way that you can interact within a meeting because maybe you can't have your camera on, and maybe you
Correct.
can't
Correct.
really share your opinions properly. Yeah, this is definitely an ongoing problem for now. Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned that you use lots of different types of tools or
Mhm.
digital platforms. Could you tell me if you have a preference? Like which one would you prefer to use if you could choose?
So preference wise, I would prefer either Zoom, I mean for a video conference, either Zoom meeting or GoToMeeting, or maybe sometimes Cisco. And for a platform where we can do where we can communicate with each other, where we can chat, where we can have a kind of a video conference as well. So that is Microsoft Teams. So in that way, I mean, hands down to Microsoft Team because it provides both the solutions.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So is there what is it that you specifically like about Teams that it offers that the others don't?
See, in Microsoft Team, I mean, we can create a group. Suppose I'm working on a project and have somewhere near about 20 to 30 project members. So I can create a project team in in Microsoft Team. I can communicate. So I don't have to communicate with 30 different people in 30 different windows. In a single window, I can communicate with them, and I can have a single meeting with that particular group.
Okay, excellent. Yeah. Um, So do you find then that Teams is the best tool to work with if you're trying to have some kind of collaboration that requires creating ideas and things like that? If you're thinking of trying to brainstorm an idea, would you prefer to use Teams or is there another platform or another tool that you use to do that?
No, I would prefer to use Teams. And in case if we have to have only a video conference or maybe only meeting once in a while, then I would prefer either Zoom meeting or GoToMeeting.
Okay. Cool. Sure. Okay, so aside from the platforms, are there any other digital tools that you find really useful? So just different digital tools for like brainstorming ideas or anything like that that you use outside of these platforms?
Mhm. So digital tools, I mean, I like mind mapping. So there is a tool called mind mapping. So when we have a discover brainstorming sessions, it it allow us to create a diagram the way we discuss. So you might be knowing mind mapping, mind misters. So those are the
Mhm.
tool. I mean, even in our responsible project manager last meet, they have used mind misters. So mind
Mhm.
misters, mind mapping, those are the tool which will exactly replicate your idea into a diagram. And then later on, you can further improvise it. But that's the most useful and user friendly and handy tool or application that anybody can have.
Mhm.
Even it's effective while collecting a meeting notes. So suppose when we are having a meeting, while collecting a meeting notes, we forgot to add those dependency. So after so we only take the notes, then later on we'll be recollecting or maybe listening to our meeting recordings in order to understand the dependency. But mind mapping, mind mister will help you to build those dependency on the go while you are discussing with the team.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, good. So would you say then that some of the visual components or the visual features in your meetings are quite important?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And if you were to not be able to have those, would you say that would influence, or how would you say that would influence your collaboration with your team if you couldn't have those options?
See, if I'll not have those online tool, then probably I would be using pen and paper. So in that case, I mean, the meeting time may get extended. So there are no much of influence, but that case, the meeting time will be definitely extended. Suppose I've been discussing about a project where I need to, and it's in a very initial phase where I'll have to create a project plan. In order to create a project plan, I need to understand the work breakdown structure and the dependencies. So mind mapping will help me to do that while I've been discussing with people, with multiple people. But when I do it on pen and paper, I'll be asking each one of them and ask them to pause. I'll note it down. So in that way, the half an hour meeting may get extended to 45 minutes or maybe 1 hour sometimes.
Okay. Yeah, much longer. Okay. Okay, so I'd like to know a bit about how you feel about virtual work and virtual meetings. So do you feel that there is a difference in the atmosphere between working virtually and working physically?
So atmosphere, I mean, yes, to some extent, yes. So see, when we used to go to office, so we used to meet multiple people with different energy level, with different attitude, and with having different positive mindsets. But that that reduced to a lot of extent when we connect physically. So the only thing we can able to connect our faces when we discuss virtually, because we have already met multiple times in our office. But sometimes when we don't see a person and keep on talking, so sometimes the voice and body language or maybe the face of a person we may not able to connect. So there we may have a gap sometimes, see, which to some extent is manageable, but would be advisable to meet everyone who are who are working in your project at least once, so that to know them better, to understand what their mindset is, what their attitude looks like, and how they feel about the project. So in order to understand that, it's actually important to meet everyone by in person. But the virtual work has no impact. I mean, see, whatever whatever environment that we can generate in office, I can understand that the same environment, same level of energy or attitude we cannot generate at home. But obviously, home is a space where you get which is the source of your positive energy, right? So in a way, it's not impacting much, but sometimes it's easy. I mean, sometimes it's easy to fix some issues or when we socialize.
Yes, definitely. Okay, thank you. Okay, maybe we could talk a bit about overall working virtually. So all of these different tools and different ways that we can collaborate now. What would you say are the biggest benefits of virtual work?
See, biggest benefit of virtual work, it will come into the picture when organization have been operating traditionally. So they have been operating traditionally these days. So if they wanted to fall in the line of virtual work, then probably they may start moving or maybe transforming digitally. So where they have all their data, all their all their necessary tools, application, everything is available digitally and can be accessible without their own secured network, and which is also not vulnerable, where people will not able to steal any kind of a data. But yes, so in order to make virtual work successful, organization has to think how they can transform their entire strategy digitally,
Yes, perfect.
or entire business digitally.
Okay. And then on the flip side, then, what would you say are the biggest challenges? I know you already mentioned a few, but do you have any more to add?
So working virtually, the biggest challenges will be, as I've earlier said, right? So online and offline tools. So we do not have any offline tools available. Suppose I've been working on something, or maybe updating the plan, and which I've been doing it on an online platform, and all of a sudden I have a power drip, and I haven't saved the plan, and when the power comes up, I'll have to start from the scratch. So all the work that I've been done, suppose I've been working on that particular plan from past 1 hour, so that 1 hour I'll have to redo it again. So that is one thing. Then second thing is, see, more often we don't see the expression of people. So when we are meeting, so when we have a face-to-face discussion, or when we have a face-to-face team meeting, it's easy for a project manager to understand how people are grasping or how people are taking things up. At the same time, meeting virtually will be difficult, because when we have even on a video conference meeting, so it's further, I mean, it's difficult. So it's difficult to understand somebody's body language. So that's other part. And then second part is, in order to make the work, I mean, in order to make the virtual work or remote work effective, organization also think of moving or transforming their business digitally. So where they will integrate integrate the digital technologies in all areas of their business. So not only one part, in all areas of their business. And basically, see, they have to change their mentality of traditionally delivering the values. So it will also add, I mean, see, it will also help organization to improvise their operating and delivering model and the values that organization deliver to their customer. So that's why, I mean, see, that's why when it comes to remote work, or when it comes to virtual work, digital transformation comes into the picture, and it becomes critical to every organization.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think it's a complete change in well, not just the physical assets, but also the mindset is a big thing of changing an organization.
Correct. And see, beyond this, it also, I mean, it also involves kind of a cultural change. See, we have been working in multiple cultures. So when we work on a project, not just a project manager delivers. So a project manager has to manage different people in different geographical location with having different cultural mindset. So it also, I mean, see, it also so when organization transform their business digitally, so it will also be a cultural change where every culture comes into the same platform where things are available digitally.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we clearly have lots of challenges and also some benefits. So if you were to say your preference was to work virtually or physically, what would you say?
So virtually and physically, see, I have no, I mean, I'm a person who's friendly, I mean, who wanted to socialize. So my first preference would be physical work. But in case if company business transforms to digitally, then I would prefer virtual work or remote work.
Okay, so if the organization you work for was better prepared and had the necessary tools you needed, you would prefer to work virtually?
Virtually. I would prefer to work virtually with me. I have a chance, or I have an opportunity to meet everyone in the team once in a week or maybe once in a month, in order to know them better.
Okay, so then there's definitely that balance, that there would be some physical aspects and some virtual, or predominantly virtual with some physical.
Yes.
Okay. So which times do you think are the most important? You said that you would want to meet once at the beginning of the project. Are there any other parts of projects that you think really would benefit from having that physical face-to-face interaction?
So at any point of given time, so physical interaction would be having a upper hand on virtual interaction. See, when we the physical interaction require more at the initiation of a project for a project manager, but physical interaction will require more at the time of development, maybe at the time of testing for all other project team members. So it depends. I mean, see, at any point of given time, suppose I'm working remotely and I'm a developer. I've developed the code. I send it to QA. There are some issues, so I'll have to call that QA guy. Then there might be other people associated. I'll have to make multiple calls. So which will, in a way, it'll eventually slow down my productivity. Okay. So when we are in office, we can meet together, we can get into a conference room, we can resolve the issues quicker than a virtual call. See, virtual call will work if a company transform their business to digitally with little bit of physical work in, I mean, little bit of intervention of physical work. Maybe once in a month, or maybe twice in, I mean, once in two weeks. So that way. So complete virtual work, it's difficult in current scenario.
Okay, great. Okay, I just have a couple more questions now. So I wanted to talk a bit more about the interactions that you have with people informally. So of course it's important to stay connected to our organizations and to understand what's going on. And you already mentioned before that you are still in contact with some other project managers that you worked with before. So do you have any informal ways of connecting with people in your group? For example, do you use WhatsApp or chat or things like that?
Yes, I mean, I use WhatsApp and Telegram app to connect with people informally.
Okay. And do you still maintain these kind of connections outside of work even now, even though you're not currently in work?
Yes. I maintain. See, it's all about maintaining and building the relationship.
Okay. So you have these informal channels. Are you also using some more official channels? Like, do you have any groups? I know that you said that you're already a part of a group for project managers. Do you have any official channels that people can still connect with now and discuss the problems that they're facing in these times and things like that?
So official channel, we have groups over LinkedIn, and even we have groups over WhatsApp. Though that that's been considered as informal platform to connect with people, but still people made it formal by making it group. So we had quite a few project management group in WhatsApp, Telegram, and even in LinkedIn.
Okay, great. I think that's really nice then to feel like a part of a community, even though we're in this like virtual space.
Correct.
Yeah. And do you find that it helps you a lot to be able to maintain these connections?
Yes, it helps a lot. So we get instant solution. See, suppose though we have a LinkedIn group, I'll post something on LinkedIn. Then every people are not checking checking the LinkedIn more frequently. So when I when I put across the same question over WhatsApp or Telegram, I get instant solution.
Yeah. Okay.
Or even sometimes we use Slack. So we have Slack groups. So which is again official group for discussing with or connecting with all the project managers.
Slack. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's actually all my questions today. I don't have anything else to cover. So basically the next stages are for me to type up the notes of our conversation, and I can send those back to you so that you can verify that I've accurately represented your thoughts. And then if possible, I'd like to have maybe a brief discussion, say in a month or so's time, just to have a catch up and see how things have progressed, if that would be okay with you.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine with me.
Okay, excellent. So before we finish then, do you have any questions at all that you would like to ask, or everything's okay?
Nothing as of now. So I have I've written an article on digital transformation. I'll send it across to you. That might be useful. Yes. And see, digital transformation will only work. Will only implement successfully. Organization can only implement digital transformation successfully when they onboard artificial intelligence to it. So when they integrate artificial intelligence with digital transformation. See, whatever things I've told you regarding online and offline tool, so artificial intelligence can play a bigger role in it.
Okay. The next step.
And for artificial intelligence, you can reach out to one of my close friends. So his name is Gaurav Dupar. So he's an expert on artificial intelligence, to know more about artificial intelligence and how that work in the current situation, and how that help everyone to come out of the current situation by working virtually.
Mm-hmm.
See, artificial intelligence is the only thing which can make the virtual work into reality.
Yeah, Industry 4.0.
Yes.
I guess. Yes. Okay, well, thank you very much for your time today. It was really nice speaking with you, and I'll be in touch in due course.
Thank you, Charlotte.